I have a question for you. Why do you keep reinvesting in Fort McMurray?
I was born here. The community gave a lot to our family and to us, so this is home.
You've had a lot of businesses over the years. Okay, you've been in business. What year did you start your business?
I started in 1984.
So that would have been over 40 years.
Yes.
Right. You sold your companies in 2006?
11.
11.
Was the end of it, yeah.
But yet you still haven't stopped. So you still have Sunset. I know you just liquidated part of Linco, and you have this vision for the community, the greater good of the community. What keeps that vision going for you?
Well, I think that when we were given an opportunity to do stuff, people invested in us and gave us opportunity. So I think my great-grandchildren are here. They're going to be raised here. So that we should build a future for all of the next generation of people. And so you have to be involved. So that's why we do it.
What is Sunset Recycling? What do you do with Sunset?
Sunset Recycling is a recycling company. We started out as recycling scrap metal, and then we got into doing non-ferrous, which is other stuff. And then we started to manage landfills because the recycling industry and the environment is very important. And the recycling of product that is being thrown away today, there's new ways to use it and recreate stuff with it, which is good for everybody. It creates employment, training. We can get young people to go into environmental studies. We can train operators. It's a big benefit to our community and to the nation in general.
Does it matter working with Indigenous communities, like about reconciliation, reclamation?
I think it's very important because, you know, the Aboriginal people are going to be here. They've been here a long time. They were here before anybody else. All the resource development we have, somewhere they're going to end. Different ways, different time. But the Indigenous people are going to be here. We're going to be here. So it's very important for us to be involved. I think the environment and recycling is one major way of doing it, from water, forestry, the land. It's very important.
Your family has a lot of history in the region, but we typically hear about the Golosky side. The side that I'm very intrigued by is your mother's side or your grandmother's side, your Indigenous side. Tell me a little bit about that side of your family.
My grandmother was a Cree Indian from Isle Across Saskatchewan who came to Alberta. She had children in the north, and then my grandmother was born here and my father was born here. This was home. My grandfather came from Romania, like we said before. We made a living out of this part of the world. So the Indigenous side is very important. The trapping came from our part, hunting, so that was part of our life.
Your family has basically, like on both sides, had a massive impact in the fabric of the region. So was it your grandfather who had the sawmill?
My grandfather was a Romanian. He came here in 1903, no education, but he's a hard worker. He did have a sawmill. He looked after stuff. Back then, the steamboats were running. So my grandfather and the family, my dad would have been one of them, looked after livestock for the Hudson Bay boats when the boats were going north. So because they had refrigeration, they took live animals with them. So they would have beef, cattle. So my grandfather looked after those all at the prairie. So that was part of his business.
What got you into business?
Got some of it from my grandfather. My grandfather was always doing stuff. I started working, helping the family because it was a small community. I helped my father cork wooden barges. He had contracts. So my other brother and me, we worked with him. We didn't play sports, we worked.
So you first bought a welding truck in '84. How did that start?
So what happened is I started welding. I quit school very young. Foolish at the time, but it worked out. I got to become a journeyman welder. I worked for companies. I was a supervisor. The companies all went bankrupt. I worked for 3 of them that all did that. So finally in 1984, I said to my wife, well, I'm going to start my own company. If I work for other people and go bankrupt, I have no control. So if I start on my own, I will have control. And we started with one welding rig in 1984.
Carol, your wife, how many years?
We were married in 1968. So very many, 50-some years.
Where'd you meet her?
The story is that my brothers and my uncles, none of us have ever left McMurray to meet our wives. They were all imported brides. So Carol came here because her sisters were here working. They were building Suncor, which is GCOS. And she came to spend the summer and she worked in the hospital. And my mother introduced us to each other because my mother worked at the hospital.
What part has Carol played in your success?
I'm a strong believer that it takes 2 to make things happen. And if you're going to be in business, it doesn't matter if it's a female that's in the business, your spouse has to be a big supporter. She's very hardworking. She's very detailed. And when she does stuff, she's more of not a risk taker. I'm the risk taker. And she keeps the books in order, and everything running. So we make a good team. She does the office stuff and keeps everything balanced. I do good ideas.
You're the visionary. I think that's why you two are such a perfect yin and yang, because she's not hungry to go buy a business. She's not writing out, hey, we got to buy this business.
She's only done 2 of them, and she's helped people out. So the idea was she would get involved to help people and then turn the business over to them.
What is your favorite business that you've owned?
My welding company.
Clearwater Welding?
Yes, the one I started.
Why was that your favorite?
Because I started from nothing, and I brought it into different things. We did a lot of different work, invented some new technologies, spread our wings from here all the way to Montreal. And I trained a lot of young people. So when we trained a lot of people that were apprentices, that made me feel good. And a lot of them stayed here and raised family. So I would think out of all the businesses, that would be the favorite one, because I probably helped more people through that.
What is the business you regret opening?
Well, a couple of them. Anything to do with the government. Anything that you got regulations from the government are very hard to work with.
So Veritas for the cannabis?
One was Veritas, the other one was aviation, because you're working with the government and they make rules. And
you see people that have success, not what your success is, and it goes to their head. How have you stayed the same all the time at that level keel?
We came from hardworking parents. I was brought up to respect people. If you gave your word, you did it. Treat everybody like you'd like to be treated. My father said, you have to look in the mirror and you have to look at yourself every day. People are the same. You have to treat people with respect. It doesn't matter what stature in life they have, and everybody has valuable information to share. The person that's on the street to a person in a university, a professor, they all have knowledge they can pass on. And you learn from it. I've helped people where they were in a dumps and are going through a hard time. And if you can turn around and you give them that little boost, and the rest they can do themselves. They just need that helping hand to move forward. Those are proud moments when you see people do that.
I really think you're onto something with this whole new focus of Sunset about combining different Indigenous groups and together and spread the land acknowledgement into recycling and reclamation and all types of things. Could Sunset be a really viable secondary industry for Fort McMurray and the region?
I really believe that. I think that we're going to be here when everybody is gone. This is our home. We were all born here. We all basically lived the same life. We came from trapping, hunting, gathering society. We respected the land. If the Indigenous people in our region can all work together, and if we get into the recycling business, we can keep our land and we can help to keep it clean. We can train people to do different stuff, and we can create a livelihood for our families and for the next generations, and still keep our traditions going.
Where do you want to see us go as a community to promote growth and make this place a place where people want to live?
We all want what's best for our region. I really believe that if we work together, we can create secondary industry, new industry, attract people to our region where they have opportunity to raise their family. We have stuff that nobody else in small communities or our size have. We can promote what we're going to do. We can expand, bring in new ideas, and create wealth and opportunities for people. And I think we have the nucleus of those people now with our community, because we're here, we're not leaving. Most of the people that are Indigenous aren't leaving here. They still have trap lines. They go on the land. They run successful businesses, and they all want to do what's better for our community.
I think that's part of the problem in McMurray. Historically, people come here for 5-6 years. They're not dying here or retiring here. They left.
That's why I think we got involved in here. We think that we need local people. We can create our own local solutions to what's wrong to make our community better, to attract industry, work with industry, so that we're not fighting. We're all working to a set common goal to make Fort McMurray the best place to be, the regional municipality would welcome.